The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the bustling city below. In an upscale bar nestled in the heart of downtown, the atmosphere buzzed with the mingling scents of expensive perfume and aged whiskey. The clinking of glasses and the murmur of conversation filled the air, but all Sarah could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Sarah had always considered herself a devoted wife. Her marriage to Mark, her high school sweetheart, had been a fairy tale for the most part. They shared two beautiful children, a charming suburban home, and a life that seemed perfect to the outside world. But tonight, perfection felt like a distant dream. Seated at the bar, she nursed her drink, trying to drown out the gnawing sense of dissatisfaction that had been growing inside her. Her thoughts were interrupted by a deep voice beside her. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. Startled, Sarah turned to find a tall, handsome stranger with piercing blue eyes and an easy smile. His presence was magnetic, and she found herself nodding before she even realized it. "I'm Jake," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "Sarah," she replied, shaking his hand. The touch sent an unexpected thrill through her. They fell into an easy conversation, the kind that flowed naturally and made her forget about the rest of the world. As the night wore on, Sarah couldn't ignore the chemistry between them. She felt alive in a way she hadn't in years, and the excitement was intoxicating. Sarah's encounters with Jake became more frequent. They started with innocent lunches and coffee dates, but the attraction was undeniable. Soon they were meeting in secret, their conversations filled with flirtation and longing. Mark noticed a change in Sarah. She was distant, lost in her own thoughts, and their once vibrant conversations had dwindled to mundane exchanges. He tried to bridge the gap, but every effort seemed to push her further away. One evening, as Sarah and Jake shared a passionate kiss in a secluded park, she felt a surge of guilt. She loved Mark, she truly did. But the thrill of this forbidden relationship was something she couldn't resist. It was a dangerous game, and she was playing with fire. One fateful night, Sarah and Jake's affair took a turn. They found themselves in a luxurious hotel room, the city lights twinkling outside the window. The tension between them was palpable, and they finally crossed the line they'd been teetering on for weeks. Their night together was a whirlwind of passion and intensity. They explored each other's bodies with a fervor that left them breathless, their connection deepening with every touch. But as the dawn broke and reality set in, Sarah felt a wave of panic. She had betrayed Mark in the most intimate way possible, and there was no going back. Returning home that morning, Sarah's guilt was overwhelming. She avoided Mark's gaze, terrified he would see the truth in her eyes. She threw herself into her daily routine, but the memories of her night with Jake haunted her. The thrill had turned to torment, and she was torn between the love she had for her husband and the lust she felt for another man. Despite her guilt, Sarah continued to see Jake. The affair became an addiction, a secret she guarded fiercely. They met in hidden corners of the city, their encounters growing more reckless and passionate. Each meeting was a temporary escape from the confines of her life, but the weight of her deceit grew heavier with each passing day. Mark's suspicions grew. He could sense the distance between them, the way Sarah seemed preoccupied and distracted. He tried to confront her, but she deflected his questions with practiced ease. The tension in their home was palpable, and their once solid marriage was crumbling under the strain of Sarah's betrayal. One night, after a particularly heated argument, Mark decided to follow Sarah. His heart raced as he trailed her through the city, his mind filled with dread. When he saw her enter a familiar hotel, his worst fears were confirmed. He watched from a distance as she met Jake in the lobby, their embrace sending a jolt of pain through him. Mark's world shattered in that moment. He felt a mix of rage, betrayal, and heartbreak that left him reeling. He stormed into the hotel, his anger boiling over as he confronted Sarah and Jake. The confrontation was explosive, and the hotel lobby became a battleground of accusations and shattered illusions. Sarah was devastated. The affair that had once felt like an escape had now destroyed everything she held dear. She tried to apologize, to explain, but Mark was inconsolable. He walked out, leaving her alone to face the wreckage of their marriage. In the days that followed, Sarah's life unraveled. Mark filed for divorce, and their children were caught in the crossfire of their bitter separation. The affair that had once brought her so much excitement had cost her everything. She felt lost and broken, haunted by the choices she had made. Jake, too, felt the consequences of their actions. The thrill of their affair had faded, replaced by a sense of guilt and regret. He tried to comfort Sarah, but their relationship was now tainted by the pain they had caused. They drifted apart, their connections severed by the harsh reality of their choices. Sarah sought therapy, desperate to understand why she had risked everything for a fleeting passion. The sessions were painful, forcing her to confront the deep-seated issues that had led her down this path. She realized that her dissatisfaction had been rooted in a longing for excitement and validation, a void that no affair could truly fill. As time passed, Sarah began to rebuild her life. She focused on her children, trying to be the best mother she could be despite the turmoil. She found solace in her work and leaned on friends and family for support. The road to healing was long and arduous, but she took it one day at a time. Mark, too, found a way to move forward. He poured his energy into his career and found comfort in the support of loved ones. The pain of Sarah's betrayal never fully faded, but he learned to live with it, finding strength in the process. Years later, Sarah and Mark crossed paths again. Their encounter was bittersweet, filled with the ghosts of their past. They spoke briefly, acknowledging the pain they had caused each other, but also recognizing the growth that had come from it. Their wounds had healed, leaving behind scars that served as reminders of their journey.